From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Barris with you, and we've got a good show on tap on this Wednesday. This week's passing quickly, isn't it? Because it was a short week with, for some of us, having Monday off. But this is a live show, second one of the new year, and appreciate you joining us. You know, you notice this time of year sometimes, folks. Hey, it's exciting after you have New Year's, okay? Yeah, New Year and that's all. But then you think back, well, you know what? The family, the holidays, all of that has passed. And for some of us, it's like, whew, all right, glad that's over. Others, it's like, gosh, that was such a fun time and now it's gone. And now you really embark on the next couple of months, unless you like really cold temperatures and snow and maybe rain. January and February, at least for me sometimes, can be two of the more challenging months to stay more chipper, simply because it's kind of like holidays are over and I got 2 months of cold weather before finally some spring comes our way, and that's pretty neat. So folks have depression issues, that seasonal affective disorder and the like that can come up. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that and maybe some of the things that can help you or someone you know or love that's going through some of these issues get better and make it through this time. And to talk about it with us is Dr. Dennis McCleod. He is a psychologist, behavioral health over at Vanderbilt. Good morning to you, sir. You've got a big smile on your face, so I'm guessing that you just don't feel this seasonal affective disorder like some of us do.
I was smiling because I'm just happy to be here, but I definitely struggle with some of those same symptoms. I was just thinking as you were talking, spring is my favorite season. So I'm one of those folks who's like trudging along, you know, to kind of get through the end of the winter and then into the spring. Especially with some of the weather changes that we've seen, right? The snow recently here in Nashville. It's been a really weird time. But it's really can be really helpful to have some support, to have people around you that kind of help you kind of get through these last few months as we kind of crawl toward the spring, to the flowers blooming and, you know, kind of the seasons changing. We'll get more sunlight hopefully soon, and that can really help with your mood as well. So yeah, really.
It makes sense, everything that you hit on there, and I want to talk about some things we can do to help. But before we do that, let's get to some of the triggers then. And let's face it, I mean, there's folks who can be triggered to feel a little down in the dumps or blue any time of the year. But is this the time of the year that's, you know, when it predominantly happens for most people? And in your opinion, I guess you touched on some, the weather. What type of things trigger this? And I'm sure it varies from person to person, but in general.
Yeah, Nick, you're spot on. There's some things that happen that can be individual for folks, right? Like you said, different genes, different environments. We were talking a little bit earlier about weather changes. For instance, folks who live in primarily kind of dark or kind of gloomy areas might be more apt to struggle with these types of symptoms, which of course would make sense when the seasons change, right? When the winter comes on. So that's part of what you were talking about in the way of seasonal affective disorder. Changes within our bodies, like biochemically, and also when it relates to our mood as a result of the seasons changing. Other folks, you know, struggle because you have a family history. Think about it like if you have some struggles within your family with heart issues, right? It's very similar when it comes to mood issues. Your mom or grandma struggle with bipolar disorder or struggle with depression. It's a higher likelihood that you might struggle as well. And then there's some life changes, right? Like you said, right on the other side of Christmas, we're much more likely to struggle, let's say financially, right? We're more likely to struggle.
Looks like he just froze up there for a moment. You know what? He just froze. Sometimes we get that issue with our Zoom calls. Yeah, we're going to take a break, and we'll get him back on, and we'll pick up our thought where we left off right after this. Stay with us.